biggest threat to your finances isn't your income. It's you. It's your mindset about money. I'm here to discuss things like the psychology of money. I want to talk about the lack of financial education in our country. I want to break the cycle that's holding you back financially. Today's topic, why is it hard to talk about money and ways that we can overcome it? Look, I invite you to stick around. I'm going to give you 4 ways to overcome our inability to talk about money, and we'll dive into why that's such a difficult topic. On Mind Over Money, I want to help you get your mind right so you can get your money right. Why is it so hard to talk about money? A lot of it starts from the way we were brought up. Our parents didn't talk about money. In fact, a lot of times we were told, do not talk about money. Don't talk about money at dinner table. Don't talk about money with your friends. It's an interesting conundrum that we're in on why people can't talk about money. Society tells us not to talk about money. Business tells us not to talk about money. We'll go into each one of those a little bit. Did you know that 65% of people live paycheck to paycheck? So you may think that you're not doing well. You don't want to talk about money because you think somehow you're behind the curve. Everybody else has it figured out. Everybody else has money and you don't. Probably not true. Everybody's living in the same kind of situation. Again, it comes down to a whole host of reasons. We were brought up, just don't talk about money. It's rude.
That's a bet.
Yeah, congratulations, Peter. What are you going to do with your winnings?
Joe, never ask me about money. It's rude.
Did you know that the median savings that people have is $3,000? Right? So median, half above, half below. 75% of people are stressed about money. As of 2024, 48% of people who earn more than $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. 36% of people making over $200,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. Like when the median income in our country is $65,000, people who earn around that amount think, man, if I just had $200,000, I'd have it made. Almost 40% of people with $200,000 coming in annually are living paycheck to paycheck. They still have that same $3,000 median savings goal as everybody else. So they're not doing that much better. So how is it they get into that situation? Well, in my series, we're going to dive into a lot of those topics on how people who earn that kind of money could end up being broke also. But today we're going to stick with the discussion about why it's so hard to talk about money. But don't you think if people who are making $100,000, $200,000 could talk about money more, then they wouldn't be in that situation of living paycheck to paycheck? You know, 25% of the states in our country have financial education. That means 75% don't. There's no way for people to understand how to live with money when we don't teach them the very basics of how to do it. You know, so you start off without a basic education of how money works and how do you do your personal finances. You couple that with society pushing you in a different direction, business pushing you in a different direction. Look, everything is stacked against you when it comes to your finances, because basically everything, the way that our media is built, the way that our advertising is built, they are trying to separate you from your money. They teach you that you have to have a big house, a fancy car. You look on social media, everybody's got it made. They're showing off. Yeah, nobody's got it together. Nobody knows what they're doing. It may look that way, but again, it's all an illusion. You've got business trying to separate you from your money. You've got social media trying to convince you that somehow they've all got it together and you're the only person that doesn't have it together. So no wonder you don't want to talk about money. So what's at stake for this lack of education and lack of understanding about how money works? Well, the number one thing is it keeps you from understanding why you make the decisions that you make about money. It keeps you from understanding how to save your money better. It keeps you isolated. You think that you're the only person somehow that doesn't know what to do. So how do we break this cycle? Step one is to educate yourself. Hey, look, since our schools aren't going to do it, since our schools did a horrible job of preparing you for the very basics of personal finance, you're going to have to go do it yourself. You know, you can get online, you can do a lot of research online, but there are a lot of good books out there. Here are some of my favorites. Personal Finance 101, The Psychology of Money, Your Money or Your Life. These are just a couple examples of ways that you can educate yourself. There's a never-ending source of information out there for you to go and dive into. Just be careful, because remember, the number one thing that our society is structured to do is separate you from your money. Not all education is good education. You have to make sure that it's actually beneficial to you and it's not some scam or get rich quick thing. So just be careful when you educate yourself. But number one, educate yourself. Step number two, you have to find your money people. You need to get trusted advisors, friends, family, an online community. Talking about money makes it easier. The more that you're able to talk about it, the easier it gets, and the more education that you'll get. Don't talk to your crazy uncle who thinks that you got to invest in whatever the latest scam of the week is, but find somebody who's smart about money. Look, the number one thing that you can do is find somebody who is successful and ask them how they got successful. Again, it's that real hard taboo that we have to break, where society tells us that you can't talk about money. But there are lots of people who would be willing to help you out. You have to be careful, because lots of people who look wealthy are broke as a joke. They do not have two nickels to rub together because they spend it all on an illusion. And we'll talk about that in another video. Step number three, you have to get comfortable with your numbers. Instead of avoiding your bank statements, you need to dive in. You have to look at your spending. You have to think about why you're spending money on the things that you're spending money on. The number one dirty word for most people is budget. People hate to have a budget. I'm not talking about budgets here. I'm talking about taking a cold, hard, calculated look at where your money's going. Because we don't feel good about what we're doing with our money, we want to avoid it. And you have to stop avoiding it. So get comfortable with your numbers. Step number 4, remember that a huge part of what we do with our money comes from how we think about money. So you need to change your mindset. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stop trying to think that if you have this new bag, that's going to somehow make you feel better. Or if you're driving this fancy car, everybody's going to be impressed with you. Not true. None of that matters. In fact, you'll probably feel worse because you put yourself in a bad situation, and now you're worse off with your money coming in and your money going out, and it causes more stress. So shift your mindset about money, right? So let's recap. You're going to educate yourself about money. You're going to find your money people. You're going to get comfortable with your numbers. And then remember, you're going to change your mindset. The biggest threat to your finances isn't your income, it's you. I'm going to continue to cover the psychology of money, money basics, things that you weren't taught in school. I have a whole bunch of ideas for a whole bunch of videos. I'm going to try to get them out there. If you like this content, if you have ideas for what I can do better, if you have ideas for topics you'd like to hear, go ahead and put it in the chat. I don't have a lot of videos out there right now, but I will. So subscribe, like, and we'll keep going down this journey to educate people about the psychology of money on Mind Over Money.